Here we go. 3,
No question.
2,
Question.
no.
No, I have a question.
All right, what?
Do you want sassy pant hot sauce, Teresa, or sugar and spice?
I want hot sauce, Teresa. I always want hot sauce, Teresa.
All right, I'm bringing the fire.
Bring the sass.
No one is safe.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be a different story after my intro. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, toy family! Welcome to another edition of the Marsham Toy Hour, where we discuss anything and everything designer toys. I'm Gary Ham.
I'm Teresa Hawkins.
I'm George Gaspar.
Welcome back, George.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Honestly, I don't remember. What was the last episode you were on?
I don't know. It just feels like a year ago.
It was like a year ago. You're back, though.
Let's get back to reality. When was it? Like 3 or 4 episodes ago?
Like a month.
Yeah, it was probably a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know when it was. It was our infamous train wreck episode. So yeah, about a month ago.
Yeah, I derailed everything and then hopped off.
Jerk!
I wanted to let you guys get it back on track and fix it, and then I'll come back in.
Well, we've been adjusting some nuts and bolts, trying to shore the track up.
I'm going to start with a little, congratulations, you guys did some great interviews while I was away. I love not being on the show because then I can listen to it.
That's what you do anyways when you're on.
Well, exactly, but then I don't have to feel like a jerk for not saying anything.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm sad I didn't get my back in the day ding with that million back in the days.
Dude, there's at least 40 back in the days.
There was some you even missed dinging, by the way.
I know. A couple people alerted me to that. That's nuts.
That was awesome.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed those. We had fun doing them. We learned a lot on those 2 episodes. But today, we're actually going to go back to Toy Talk. We're going to try mini-sodes. You guys want to time it? I don't want to time it. Let's just try to be aware to kind of get in and out.
Yeah, we'll just do what we do. We'll see how long it goes.
We were doing Toy Talk for so long, and then we were kind of stuck in. So we said, well, let's do a crap ton of guests. But now we're like, we haven't talked toy stuff.
And another thing we haven't been doing in quite a while is leaks and sneak peeks. So we're going to get back to that today. But before we get to that, Teresa, you wanted to rattle off a couple shows that are going on.
Oh, yes. So, George, were you on when I pitched this highlight of the week thing?
I don't know. I remember hearing it, but I don't know if I heard it live and talked about it or if I heard it when you guys were on.
You know, I think I actually tried to start it during our train wreck episode. So, yeah, I'm trying to bring it back. I guess, I don't know if it's a highlight of the week or what, but I wanted to rattle off just a couple of shows that are happening. I have to say, Clutter is ridiculous. They've been doing this 3 shows a month thing. I don't know how they do it, but there's this trifecta going on this weekend. They've got 3 different shows opening. One is a group show called Revenge of Planet Rainbow Sparkles. It's where they everyone submits different colors, and they basically create a giant rainbow wall in the gallery. They've got 50 artists involved, hundreds of pieces. That looks like it's going to be awesome. And then they have 2 different solo shows. They have The Wonderful Sad Salesman doing a show called The Cute, the Weird, and the Derpy. And then Robin of Beanie Bat has her first solo show. It might be her first solo show ever, I think, called The Forest Awakens. So awesome things. I'm waiting for my email. I know the shows will have already started by the time this episode comes out, but usually Clutter's really good about getting the pieces up online, so you can go check it out. And then, do y'all remember King Pakara? This is weird. It's like we're going all the way back to
How could I forget? Yes, I remember King Pakara.
So, there's actually going to be a show at Q-Pop Shop by that artist, Art Junkie. They have an exhibition there where they're going to have various toys made by that artist, original paintings, and then a King Pakara custom show all in one. So, yeah, good stuff going on, shows. I'm sure I missed stuff, but those caught my eye, and I just wanted to shout them out real quick. And then another quick highlight of the week, there's a new Kickstarter dropping this Friday for Emoji World. Yay! We are actually going to have them on as a guest, so I won't dig too deep into it because we can just ask them about it. But it starts this Friday, so by the time this episode's out, it'll be live. they're dropping a new comic book, but they'll also have exclusive toy sculpture editions as part of the Kickstarter too. So check it out.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Should we do a round of back in the day history? That's something we haven't done in a while.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to do this one? Because I think you're the one who found this.
Yeah, I found this thing many months ago, back when I was going to start doing the This Week in History posts. I think I did 3 or 4 in a row, but I just realized how much work it was. I already work on this podcast like 4 or 5 nights out of my week, and so for some reason I decided to take another one of my free nights off to do research for that history post, and so it wasn't getting much appreciation or feedback, so I just kind of, maybe it wasn't something people were into, so I stopped doing it. But one of the things I did discover was back in September 2009, that was when Kid Robot had their Death to False Vinyl rally in New York City in protest of those Taco Bell Bellhedz toys. You guys remember that? There was like a Taco Bell food truck in New York City. They went there on the weekend, and I guess Taco Bell food truck was going to give away free tacos and free Bellhead toys, and Kid Robot got a sniff of that and decided to protest it and rally it by going there, and people were wearing Death to False Vinyl t-shirts. They were handing out free dunnies, and it was a pretty big deal back then, back in the day.
Wow, was it really? That's crazy.
You remember that, George?
I think I have the whole set.
Of the Taco Bell ones?
Oh yeah, I went searching for those. Like I was collecting those hardcore.
I gotta look them up. Hold on, I gotta refresh my memory.
Pretty sure they were called Bell.
Oh, that's right. So these little Bellhead toys, part of what I think that the dispute was not so much that Taco Bell did these sort of Bellhead vinyls, but they looked like rip-offs of Dunnies.
Oh yeah, that was very specific artists that were being ripped off on each one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't exact replica, like they were not copies in that sense, but they were heavily influenced by previous Dunny designs by several of the artists. One I remember was a Kathy Olivas girl in a bunny suit with her mouth zip closed, and so the Bellhead Dunny was also a white bunny in a bunny costume with a zipper, but they made it a little cuter. But you can tell, if you saw them side by side, they were definitely influenced, and several other ones in the Bellhead series were just like that. If you put them side by side to other Dunnies, you can tell they were inspired by same color palettes and everything.
But that's crazy. Isn't it crazy to think that 10 years ago, Kid Robot was out there like rebelling and saying, "Don't do knockoffs." What else were they saying? Like,
oh, here I found the link for it. And actually, it was a Kid Robot blog post. Here's what it says. We will be giving away over 1,000 Dunnies to show the city of New York what's a real vinyl toy. Wear your Death to False Vinyl shirt and join our rally. 2 full hours of free Dunnies, shirts, stickers, and more while supplies last.
times have changed. It just cracked me up that they were all real vinyl, here, and now.
Wait, at the end of this, it says, friends don't let friends collect crappy toys.
Oh.
That's an actual KidRobot.com blog post.
That's awesome. It's funny because the Bellheads weren't even vinyl. Like they were ABS, weren't they?
You know, I never actually saw them in hand, so I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure, or maybe they had vinyl bodies, but they had ABS heads, like the Big Bell. I'm pretty sure they were ABS, though.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, speaking of which, if we're going to do history, again, a decade ago, 2009, the Toy Chronicle brought this video to our attention this week, but there was a release party for the Ye Olde English Dunny series in the UK, and there's a whole video for it. We'll share this video in our show notes, but if you go back and watch this video, it just takes a trip down memory lane. It makes you realize how big Dunny release parties used to be and how they were handled. They were grand events. At this release party in particular, again, it was in the UK, but Paul Budness was on hand. Baroness, she used to work for Kid Robot. She handled, I guess, like marketing and promotional stuff, setting up events. Julie West was there. Clutter Miranda was there back when she lived in the UK. I Love Dust, Dr. Ray, Peskimo, and Tato were painting a custom 4-foot Dunny on hand, Triclops, just so many different artists, and just the amount of collectors in the audience and just waiting to get into the building for this release was also awesome to see. So it's just cool. Just Dunny events were different back then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember those things because being here in LA where one of the stores was, like they had huge events like that all the time. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going with Scott up to one of his events in San Francisco because he had a signing up there with, I think it was with Julie West, wasn't it? And it was at the Kid Robot store for one of their Dunny things. They brought him up to that, so we drove up together. I drove up with him, and we hung out. I hung out while he did the signing and just hung out at the store, and it was cool.
Nice. Yeah, they don't do that anymore, do they?
No,
well, that's not true.
They don't really have stores left, right? Like,
no, not as far as physical location stores. But remember, all the stores, whether they were Kid Robot or not, whether it was Rotofuji, Red Hot Robot, Dragatomi, Rivet, My Plastic Heart. Remember all the stores the night before the actual release, they would have like a trading and release party where you can go and get these things. I remember in Phoenix it was kind of a big deal when there was a Dunny drop. And I just remember that. It was a whole country sort of celebration. And we just don't have anything like that anymore. There was the occasional, I know that 3D Retro's done a few release parties. I think there was one at Rotofuji maybe a few years ago, but nothing is grand. Much smaller, more quiet releases.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that's like, because all those people are still buying that stuff. It just maybe they don't, people more, I don't know, do they just not care about going to events like that? Or I don't know if maybe there's not enough artists participating to get some people to do signings. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. But you know what? We got to be fair to Kid Robot. They've gone through a lot of change in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Paul Budnitz left, a couple change in presidents. Then they almost crumbled altogether, and they were bought out by NECA. So a lot of change. They were running like ballers back in the early days. It's just probably actually operating far beyond their actual means. We talked to Jesse last week when he was talking about for one of his Dunny releases, they had him flying to 4 different city locations in the course of a weekend. Like that's nuts. And then this one, we were talking about the video where several people all flew over to UK for a celebration. So yeah, I imagine after 2009's economy crash, things definitely did have to change, and especially with the restructuring of the company. So anyways, let's move on from history and do some leaks and sneak peeks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Teresa? Ladies first?
Sure. Okay, I have 2.
2?
I know.
We haven't done it in a while, so I will allow it this one time.
Well, so we've been getting some feedback, and I know we have a habit of going into our old patterns of always talking about cute. So one of my leaks and sneaks is going to be
Pop Mart.
Complete opposite. No, I'm going non-cute. So there is actually this really cool piece being put out by Clutter, and it was sculpted by Tokyo Jesus. So it's this piece called Oni Tayu. It's a Smoke and Mirrors edition. It's a 12-inch double cast resin piece between Clutter and Tokyo Jesus. And it's this crazy double cast woman with these like bodies on her back like a backpack. But it's basically the concept of, it says, the crystal blood Tayu revealed her outer form, while this release showcases her deepest secrets, the skulls of her many victims. And it's like her legs are just stacks of skull heads, and you can see her like skull shape within it. And then, like I said, on her back is like 2 dead bodies. That's kind of like Siamese style, like a backpack. It's crazy, and it glows.
I'm looking at the photos now. This is what you consider a real designer art toy. This is nuts. I don't even know how they're pulling this off. George, do you know how they're pulling off this double cast treatment? Is everything on the interior, is that one solid piece that then they're recasting clear resin around?
I would imagine. I don't know for certain what they were doing, but I would imagine it's, you have the master sculpt that's the outside shape. And then once you have that, you can pour up, either a wax or whatever you want to sculpt in. And then you can sculpt the inner shape from that. So you can kind of do a reductive sculpt and take away all the material. So then you have the inner thing that fits exactly in the mold of that outer shape. So then you cast all the interiors, paint them or whatever you're doing to them, treat them however you want, and then you put those into the mold, back into the mold of the bigger one, and pour the clear around it. It's a lot of work. Like it's not easy. Imagine like if the casting doesn't come out, you've now wasted that interior piece that you did all that work on. So yeah, I mean the price is expensive and it's worth it because there's a ton of work involved in this.
Yeah, this is by far the most complex version of a double cast I've personally seen. And I just scrolled down. The inside is glow in the dark.
That's what I said. I said it glows. And when you look at it from the back, it's like this weird Siamese twin body skull twin thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you can see like the skull shape of the woman, the warrior woman with her freaking crazy stacked skull legs. It's nuts. It's $350.
Cast stuff that's just like, it's so much work. I don't know why anybody does it, but like, there's a few people doing it then, and they're just really nailing it with cool shit. Barbarian Rage does this stuff too, and you know he does this crazy like He-Man type figures, like He-Man figures with all these interior stuff, and they're just nuts.
These are all being pulled out of Clutter Studios in New York. They're not. No one else is doing it. This is actually being pulled by probably Josh or Miranda or someone there.
Yeah. The Clutter Studios is doing it.
Fuck.
In New York. Lovingly hand-created in New York by Clutter Studios.
You know, it's too bad they can't nominate themselves in the Designer Toy Awards because this piece is amazing.
Someone else could nominate them, right? Like,
yeah, but I don't think they can even put it up there because a lot of people are skeptical that this thing is rigged and all that sort of stuff. So I think anything that's clutter related, they remove from the categories just altogether.
That's too bad because this is a ton of work. I mean,
this is amazing. Yeah,
I've seen them do some. Last time I was out there, I went to their studio and they were doing some of this double casting stuff, and just seeing them work on that stuff back there, it's like, oh man, I wouldn't want to do it. It's so much work.
I didn't know you did that.
I went. It was a while back. It was like probably, I don't even know. It was last year, I think, maybe.
Way to bring that up like a year later, George. You realize we run a Toy Talk podcast here.
I don't know what I do.
Have you all seen Scott Wilkowski's work?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that I always think whenever I see these, I think of Scott Wilkowski because he was.
I do too.
He's like the OG guy, right? He's kind of the guy that kind of started this whole double cast thing.
I feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of my opinion because I do the same thing, George. Every time I see it, I think of Scott and all of the crazy double casting he's done. And I know he does a lot of collaborations with Blue Bear, but yeah, this piece by Clutter, you can't not call it out. But just for a few details, so it is a little more pricey, $350 a piece. But it's going to be a pre-order. The pre-order starts Friday, so by the time this airs, it'll be up. And they're doing 50 pieces. So I don't know how quick it'll go, but
it'll be sold out.
It's killer.
It's a very un-Teresa piece for everyone listening.
It is. See, I'm trying to look at me.
Proud of you, Teresa.
Non-Teresa. Okay, can I do a Teresa thing now, real quick?
What's Chris Reiniak releasing now?
Damn it, George!
No. Okay, you remember? I think we mentioned Seed Arts when we talked about 5 Points. There was this prototype that I saw. Let me see if I can give you all the links so that you can see what I'm talking about. So, okay. So Seed Arts is this resin caster, and she posted recently that she's working on a collaboration with this Instagram user called Puffy Puff Puff. That's their Instagram name, Puffy Puff Puff _. And if you go look, so I had never heard of this Puffy Puff Puff, and I went over to their account, and oh my God, they're this 3D sculptor of insanely so Teresa designs. Like the entire feed is uber cute, and I want all of them to be real. Like I wish they were all toys and not just 3D sculpts. But anyway, Seed Arts and this Puffy Puff Puff are collaborating together. I know it sounds really absurd, but it's Puffy. The username is Puffy Puff Puff, and then the name in the account is Puffy the Puff Puff.
George, you're driving in your car. You're listening to this right now, and you keep on hearing.
I would have killed myself already.
Puffy the Puff Puff.
Puffy the Puff Puff. But it's worth it because they're working on this adorable piece. It's called a Quartz back dragon. Picture, I don't know, like a pudgy little dragon with kind of quartz, like almost like rock formations kind of growing on the head and spine. It's got its little arms sitting up by the mouth. It's kind of head tilted up, eyes closed, a little pudgy. I don't know. It's just super, super cute. And I think they're still trying to figure out what size they're going to cast. They've got examples of a 5-inch and a 2-inch. And obviously I want the teeny weeny 2-inch because it's so cute. And imagine putting it on your desk and they're looking up at you all cute like.
I gotta say, I'm looking at their page. I'm looking at the Puffy Puff Puff page, and man, there is some cute stuff on there.
Oh my God, right?
That pencil with the eraser, and they both got cute eyes. Like, whew.
Yes. And their eraser's holding on with hands on the top. Oh my God, and the candy corn. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty adorable. And it's fun to say.
Puppy Puff, Puppy. Oh God, Puffy Puff Puff.
We need to move on.
Puffy the Puff Puff. I like that they had to put an underscore after their name because Puffy Puff Puff was already taken.
Random thought. Do you guys prefer, for your naming conventions of files, do you prefer to do dashes or the underscores?
What are you talking about?
You know how when you have a file and you can type Marsham _toy _hour _podcast _ blah 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 blah. Or would you prefer to separate the words with dashes? There's something about if you do underscore, Google reads it all as one word, and if you do it as dashes, it reads each word individually. So if you're doing a Google image search, things show up better if you did a file name convention with dashes instead of underscores.
Okay. I do dashes.
See, I've always done underscore.
I just don't like the way the underscore looks.
I don't understand why we're even talking about this.
Sorry.
George mentioned something about underscore.
It was literally just the name of the user account. What are you talking about?
I got completely sidetracked. A little ADD today. This is being cut out.
George,
no
literally,
way.
I can't even with Gary because the other day he did not realize that if someone texts you an image, you can click it and view the whole thing.
Oh,
that's not totally entirely true. Of course I knew that you can do that.
No, you didn't.
No, I just forgot.
Mommy, Daddy, you're fighting.
We've been told that people don't like when we banter too long, Teresa, so let's move on. George, what do you have?
All right, so you have laid down the rule that I couldn't do a Kickstarter, so I went on and looked at some other things online. There's two that I really want to talk about as well, so maybe I'll start with the easy one that you guys already always talk about, which is Unbox. But the news was everywhere today, Spankies and Toy Chronicles, I'm sure other places. The Unbox and Friends Wave 2 series is coming out, or is out, I guess, is up for pre-order or up for order or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they've shown all the designs now, and I know they've been leaking pictures here and there, but they've shown everything. And man, there's a couple in this series I really like. I'm a fan of Scott's stuff, Scott Tolson, so I really want that Freckle, the little baby Freckle, because I love that Freckle character he had before. Mm-hmm. So this is a new version of that, and I definitely want to get that guy. And I got to tell you, after listening to Retro Band, it makes me want to get that Baby Meats.
Same.
And listening to him on your show was really great, and that interview was really cool. If anybody hasn't listened to it and they skipped it and went just to this one, go back, listen to the Retro Band episode, and yeah, it makes me want to get that Baby Meats guy.
I feel the same way. Had we not done that interview with Retro Band, I don't know if that Baby Meats in that series would have appealed to me. But now I really like it, and I want to help support it and get it because of him.
Yeah, and of course the Monsterism figure I got to get to.
Yes, the Snorse one.
Yeah, the baby Snorse.
With like the total bowl cut, which is strange, but the original one kind of had that look too. It's just a little different in this reinterpretation that the designer. So one single designer reinterpreted all these characters by all these different artists. So to Nathan Pong, I think who it was. So
it's really cool to have that. I like the idea of that. Have one artist take a bunch of different people's characters and redo them as something else. Like, I kind of like that idea.
I do, and I would like to see another company, because Nathan Pong seems to be the Unbox guy. It'd be interesting if another company had another single artist do this with some other stuff.
Yeah, I think.
And is there an artist that you would love to see translate a bunch of different things?
I'm going to selfishly think I would want to do this. Like, this is something, like, this is a great idea. Like, I would love, because I'm always looking at people's sculpts going, man, I want to do that different. It's something that I would love to try.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, I mean, I'd like anybody. Like, I'd like to see like a guy like Alex Pardee take a bunch of different people's stuff and go do it in his style and have it made like that. Like,
wow.
I don't know. Anybody. Any of your favorite artists could go out there and do something like this. Would be rad.
That'd be awesome. I think it'd be really cool.
Teresa, you're oddly quiet on this cute series of toys.
Yeah.
Let's get sassy Teresa is about to enter the ring. Ding, ding, ding.
It's just disappointing. Like, I don't want to poo-poo all over it because, I love Unbox, but I'm disappointed in Series 2.
All right, so what's disappointing about it? I mean, this seems to me, if I was to look at this from an outsider point of view, that it would be something you'd be all over. Baby versions of all these guys?
I don't know. Series 2 just has a different vibe to me, and I really like Series 1, and so I had high expectations for Series 2, and I was really excited, but then I kind of saw the final review, and I was just kind of like, meh. Like, the one design that I really, really like is Kiwi, which is the little baby kiwi bird with a leaf on its head. Flippin' adorable. I want that one. But besides that one, I'm just kind of like, Like,
yeah,
none of them.
That would be the one that would be the most you, for sure.
Yeah. It's just a different vibe. In a way, I get it. Like, it's not a bad thing that Series 2 has a different vibe and has a different set of, artists and styles being pulled in. It's just, for me, as a lover of cute, most of them don't really speak to me. Not enough for me to be like, oh my God, yes, I want to buy. And definitely not enough for me to be like, yeah, heck yes, I'm buying a case so I have a chance at chases again. Because I'm assuming they're doing the same thing with the coins and the chases and maybe the secret, like, hand-painted pieces in there and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, I do have to say, Baby Meats is cute. And having talked to Retro Brand, it's a lot cuter when you look at it kind of with that context. But for me, overall, for Series 2, it just doesn't do it for me.
Something's happened to Teresa George. She's changed.
She's getting the bitter edge that we all have from being in this industry too long.
I think so. She's starting to. She's seen too much. She's not excitable about just anything and everything anymore. She's looking at it with a more critical eye.
Well, here's the thing. In 1 year, Teresa will start to think that she can produce stuff better than everyone else. And then by 2 years from now, so a year after that, she will try her hand at making her own thing. This is what happens to everyone in this scene. They start as a collector, and then they're like, I could do this. I'm going to do this better. Because everything else here is stupid. And then they're going to put their thing out. And that's how we're an entire industry of people who make their own thing and don't buy anything anymore.
You're not wrong. That's great.
It is. It's absolutely hilarious to me that you said that, because I literally had this exact conversation with someone earlier, because we were talking about we were talking about Series 2, and I think I was saying like I don't know, and I just said, I don't know, like, I guess I'm changed, like, no more, I don't want to buy cases anymore. Everything I look at, I'm just like, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. And they were like, oh my God, like, he said, they were like, oh, it was nice knowing you. You've changed. And he was like, they were like, oh, you're probably going into the next cycle, which is purging. And I was like, that's hilarious, because I literally want to purge like everything in my house right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you'll purge it all, and then you'll start designing your own.
And so I was like joking. I was like, I feel like this has been like I went from, what is this stuff? Oh my God, look at all this stuff. I'm going to buy all the stuff. Oh my God, I'm buying too much. Let's focus and only buy some of the stuff. I'm still buying too much stuff. I have too much stuff. I don't have room for this stuff. I don't want to buy all this stuff. Why am I buying this stuff? I should sell all this stuff.
What is going on here? That's like a George Carlin skit right there.
Well, it's funny because that's exactly what happened to this industry. I mean, it just happens. There was a time when the industry was new, it was everybody was Teresa's and everybody was buying everything. And then everybody went through that 6-year period. And then everybody was like, oh my God, I have too much stuff. And everybody stopped. So there was a lull where everything kind of dropped away and went away. And then, but during that time, there were always new collectors coming in. So there's always a little bit of people still buying. And then as new people are coming, new people are still buying. So the new people were still there. But that main surge that all came up together all disappeared together at the same time. So it was, it kind of like it's never recouped all the way. And that's why that's kind of relating to what we talked about earlier. That's why all those parties don't exist anymore and all that stuff. Like it all just kind of went away.
It's funny to me that you say 6 years because it's been right around that time. I came in around 2012. It's a 6-year window, George.
I mean, it makes sense. It's human nature. I mean, what's funny is if you think about a convention like San Diego, and if everybody was there, all the vendors of San Diego, everybody sets up, right? And everybody has all their booths ready, and then they open the doors and no one shows up. That more than half of the vendors in that show are going to be dead. If you took away every attendee, but then if you go to Designer Con and you have all the vendors set up and everybody goes and they open the doors and no one shows up, everyone's still going to sell stuff and make money and be there, or at least trade, because everyone there is really a fan who wants all this other stuff, but they also make stuff. So you'd still have a great convention of stuff from all the people in there buying and trading and selling. That would never happen in San Diego.
I'm just going to call this episode Stuff.
Why?
What you guys are saying is, have you ever heard that George Carlin skit where he talks about stuff? This is exactly what we sound like, but less funny than the way he said it.
Well, of course. I would hope we're less funny than George Carlin.
I don't even know
stuff.
who you're talking. Who are you talking about?
Oh God, he's a comedian. Hold on. I'm gonna fucking play it for you. 1 sec.
Oh my God! You said the F word.
Well, he's cutting that out.
We were all like, okay, we're going to hop in, highlight a few things, do a quick leaks, and discuss some topics. We're not even through leaks yet.
It's not a train wreck episode, but with definite derailment. George, what's going on? Wait, speaking of George, I found the clip. This is George Carlin. Here we go.
That's all your house is? It's a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. Now, sometimes you've got to move. You got to get a bigger house. Why? Too much stuff. You've got to move all your stuff. And maybe put some of your stuff in storage. Now imagine that. There's a whole industry based on keeping an eye on your stuff. Enough about your stuff. Let's talk about other people's stuff. Did you ever notice when you go to somebody else's house, you never quite feel 100% at home? You know why? No room for your stuff. Somebody else's stuff is all over the place. And what awful stuff it is. Where did they get this stuff? Have you noticed that their stuff is shit and your shit is stuff? Get that off of there.
But that's what you guys sounded like earlier.
All the stuff.
You're right, though. Now I'm just thinking about all the stuff that I have.
All right, seriously, we're almost at an hour. We got to get rolling. Let's move on.
Let's just end it.
All right.
So this is the new Teresa. She's just doesn't care about recording anymore.
I was going to say, Gary,
she doesn't
you
care
didn't
about
even
toys
do
anymore.
your thing.
My
you
leak sneak peek?
your leak.
Okay.
Well, you said wait. You said you had two. So you talked about Unbox. What's the second thing, George?
Okay, so I do. I have two leaks and sneak peeks. The second one, while I was looking for something to talk about today, on Spanky's site, I saw that the Silver Foxpresso. Have you seen that piece?
No.
Foxpresso Silver Fox Edition. It's by an artist who goes by the company name of, I don't know how to pronounce it, Karmieh Designer Toys, Karmieh.
Now I know what I sound like.
His name is like Osim Karmieh. Osim Karmieh. I don't know how to say that. Sorry, person. I'm butchering it, but it's a really cool sculpt. It's a little fox sipping a cup of coffee, wearing overall or wearing pants with suspenders, little Converse shoes.
$175.
Yeah, well, it's probably hand sculpted, right? Like,
Oh.
100% 3D printed resin. So it's a 3D print, painted 3D print.
Wait.
Yeah, why is it $175 if it's just a 3D print?
Wait. What is 3D? Okay, what is 3D printed resin?
It is a 3D printed piece. So it's each piece would be 3D printed on a machine. So it's not molded or anything.
But it's when you 3D print something, it's printed using resin?
There's all different materials you can print in.
Oh, I did not know that. So you think it's a straight up print that's then painted, or is it printed with the color in it?
I'm sure it's printed then painted because you can see the texture lines of the 3D print if you click on it and look real close.
See, I don't want that. If I'm paying $175 or something, I don't want striation lines.
No, but most people don't care about those anymore. I'm with you. I think that you should be cleaning up your pieces and finishing them, but I always get in trouble when I say stuff like that. So.
No, I'm with you all. I'm trying to zoom in to look at it because if I'm going to be paying that much, I don't care if it was 3D printed, but it sure as heck better be nice and smooth and clean and polished.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not buying it. I just think it's cool looking. I like
okay. You know what's really interesting? This Karmieh artist, if you go to them on Instagram, they're actually the person who sculpted the Ravager. The Quicks bust.
Okay.
So he's the magic behind that piece. Cool.
Nice.
Is it the Ravager, right? Did I get that right? You know, there's so many Quicks things out there now that I literally cannot keep track. I mean, there's like Tech and...
I don't care.
Yeah, I got it right. It's the Ravager. But that's crazy that he did that.
Nice.
It's cool.
Fun here.
I mean, the sculpt is cool. The concept's kind of fun, but I don't know how I feel about the whole 3D print thing.
Wow, look at that. He sculpted the Sarah McPherson Vampire George, too.
Wow.
That's cool. This guy's apparently a good sculptor.
Yeah. If only we knew how to pronounce his name so people can find him. I mean, geez. So let's do this again. His website is karmieh.com, KARMIEH.com, or you can find him on Instagram under the handle Pixel Buddha with 1D. Now, I want to go back and talk about this whole digital thing because a lot of times, actually, Teresa, this is something you pointed out to me earlier, is some people that are digitally printing things are also saying that their stuff is handmade. There was controversy over that.
So that's the funny thing. There was actually a topic about this in a Facebook group. Someone was asking the question of, they basically said, hey, I'm confused. Like, how are people who are digitally designing and 3D printing toys are advertising them as handmade? Is that actually factual?
No.
Well, here's the thing. did they actually physically use their hand? No. But I mean, if you're sitting there in ZBrush and formulating the entire thing, it's handmade to me. You're doing the work.
Yeah, but it's digitally printed. I think there is a difference there.
I disagree. George may sit and go sculpt something straight out of Sculpey or wax or whatever. Someone else may design it in Illustrator or ZBrush or whatever. How is the people who did it digitally any less handmade than the clay people?
You could, so if you sculpt it in 3D, right, and then a machine prints it out, and then I hand it to you, or if I sculpt it in a clay, and then I mold it, and I cast it, and I clean it, and then I hand it to you, which one is more handmade? Are they both handmade?
Well, okay, I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to devil's advocate you. The 3D print one, I'm talking about people who aren't handing out the 3D print, who aren't just saying, here's a 3D print, take the 3D print. I'm talking about the people in our scene who use the 3D print as a starting point. So the 3D print is basically the start. Instead of right, the process usually is you sculpt a thing, you might do like a trash mold of it, refine it, prime it, sand it down, do another mold. Like there's steps, right? There's usually like a process you follow to get it from the original idea you have to the physical thing you're going to sell someone or let them buy.
Okay.
So when I'm thinking about 3D printing and you doing stuff digitally, I'm just thinking about it as a step in the process. For some people, they start there instead of physically grabbing a thing to craft with their hands. But they're still going to follow through that process until they get to this really refined resin or vinyl or whatever piece. To me, those are both processes. They're different. I mean, if you want to equate handmade to literally hands physically making it, I mean, then yeah, no, I guess not. But there's still all these handmade processes in there.
I'm on the fence about it. I think 3D sculpting is still hand making because you're still doing it. But if you're, I guess, I mean, he's even painting the stuff, so that's handmade, right? Like it's more handmade than a factory doing it. But the funny thing is, even a factory, some people are making it with their hands, so it's just not you. Does handmade just mean made by the person who's giving it to you?
Yeah, maybe instead of handmade, literally meaning made with hands physically, that it's just the fact that that person personally made it.
Yeah, like it's like I made it kind of thing.
Right. So in this case, handmade is being defined as not factory manufactured.
Yeah.
Which I totally agree with. I have no issue with that. Especially when Teresa, if you're going to play devil's advocate, then yeah, everything in the entire world would technically be considered handmade. But if you want to break it down to how is a physical object created, like let's say my wood stuff, that's made with saws, not necessarily my hands. You know? It's silly, but...
It just gets really silly. Like let's say you do a sketch. Whether you put the pencil to paper or the tablet pen to tablet, you are still taking something from your brain and putting it down. And is therefore your concept, your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a sketch if you draw it on a tablet or if you draw it on paper.
Of course it is, but aren't we talking about the physical object, the end thing that's made? I can draw on my Wacom tablet all day long, but the second that I go to hit print and the physical in-hand thing is a printout from the copy machine. Yeah, I drew it, but I don't call that my hand drawing. I call it a print.
And I get that maybe it's the term. When you think handmade, you're thinking physically use your hands.
Yeah, I'm thinking at first my brain's going to think literally, how is the physical object created? But then at some point I'm going to think how everyone is using the term is, was that made independently or from a factory? That's all.
You're just old man Gary, not up with the times of the kids these days.
Hey, let's go ahead and rewrite the dictionary. Handmade means if at some point in the process it was touched by hand, it's handmade. Done.
No.
Look, sometimes the dictionary has to be rewritten.
Gary, I'm not going to equate a factory produced thing as handmade.
Someone there at the factory was using their hands, Teresa, just like George said.
Oh God, shut up. No.
Right now everyone is killing us. So let's move on to the next topic.
Yes, please.
Gary, you haven't even done your leaks yet.
No, okay, I'm going to do them now. I'm going to make them short and sweet. So, George, you were talking about Unbox. Unbox is working with Mutant Vinyl Hardcore to create his character. I guess a few of his characters. I'm not that familiar with Mutant Vinyl Hardcore stuff. So, DX and Ollie, I believe those are the names of some characters he's done in the past. And now Unbox is going to be producing more cute, proportioned, chibi-fied versions of those characters in soft vinyl. And usually his stuff would not appeal to me, but these ones I like a lot. I love the proportions. I love the size. It's, I could maybe see myself picking these up.
The style of these kind of reminds me. Do you remember Radioactive Uppercut?
No, I don't remember that.
He's an artist. I think he's in New York. But these remind me of his style figures that he makes. There was a whole series of them. They were like little monsters done in this style.
Ooh, the Evil Shimmer edition of the Nefarious Netherrealm Tyrants. Is it those, the Netherrealm Tyrants by Tag?
Those are like a newer version, but there's ones, I think they were sculpted by a guy named Gene St. Jean from the toy industry.
What am I looking up here?
Go to Radioactive Uppercut's Instagram and scroll down to his Happy Independence Day post. That's a good example of the guys I'm talking about.
Oh, see, that's so weird to me that those are the ones you were thinking. But as I'm scrolling through their feed, I'm seeing other pieces that to me fall in line even more so because they're more chubby chibi.
Yeah, but anyway, it's his, like, it reminds me of his style. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I don't even know why I brought it up. It's not Mutant Vinyl Hardcore. It's a different guy. It just reminds me of that style.
Okay. I can see it.
Yeah.
I see what the point that you're trying to make.
Between Series 2 and the Mutant Vinyl Hardcore Chibis, I think it's kind of cool that Unbox is pushing these typically non-cute artists who create these really, crazy detailed, grotesque sort of designs and getting them to delve a bit into sort of the cute lane. I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But Teresa, here, let's ask a question. Would you ever buy that stuff? Is it because it's not really cute? It's still gooey and mutiny. Would you buy like what you said? They're trying to make cute things, but it's not cute enough for Teresa, right?
No.
So it's like, and I wonder, is it too cute for the monster guys? Like, do the monster guys rather have the crazy, gooey monsters that look all weird? What I'm asking is the audience there? Like,
Good
it's
question.
not cute enough for the cute people, but is it too cute for the monster people? Or do the monster people not mind cute?
Man, I think this one's riding that fine line. I think it's, from what the comments I'm reading, Mutant Vinyl Hardcore's audience and fan base is still highly loving this piece.
Well, I think his audience is going to buy whatever he puts out. Like, he's got a fan base.
I think it reverts better when it's something like a Mutant Vinyl Hardcore going a little more cutesy than if you took someone who's known for doing super cute stuff and then someone reimagined it in a more sophisticated, gory, detailed style. Let's say you took the Whooper Looper and someone Mutant Vinyl Hardcore retranslated it. I don't think the Whooper Looper fan base would be remotely interested in that.
No, I don't think it goes the other way. I think the monster people can appreciate the cute. I don't think the cute people would ever want a monster.
No, exactly.
I agree. I mean, you scroll down Mutant Vinyl Hardcore's feed past the Chibis, and you see some weird, gross dude with a worm swimming from its mouth to its nose to its eyeball, and I literally want to just go pull my eyes out. It's freaking disgusting.
That thing right below, it's an amazing sculpt, though. That whatever that axe guy is. Really cool. So if people are wondering what we're talking about, go look at this guy's page because there's this really cool comic character looking guy, axe, like an axe man with like rope around his waist and wrists and stuff. It's really cool. Nice sculpt.
I hear what you're saying. Like, is there an audience for that middle of the ground? I do think there is because I know there are people out there who who like kind of the cute aesthetic, but also kind of like more of the fantasy monstery type of stuff. And there's stuff out there that kind of lives in that zone where it's a bit more masculine. So like there are people out there who don't want to go crazy cute. You think about me, like you can go crazy girly and I'm not going to be like, that's too girly. But there are people where there can be such a thing as too cute. And they're looking for that middle line. Think about like VAG, right? And there's like T9G and even some of the Byrons and Rangerons that sort of toe the line a little bit. Like they don't go crazy cute like some of the Pop Mart stuff. To me, it falls a little bit in that lane.
I agree.
So I think there's
Gary, I would love to see this guy design your Woopa Looper.
I'd like to see it. Take it to a whole new audience for sure.
Yeah, I want to see Mutant Vinyl Hardcore's Wooper Looper of yours, you know? Like, that would be a great...
Yeah, I don't think I can think of an example of someone taking something that we know only as cute and then give it that hardcore treatment. I can't think of that. So yeah, that would be really cool to see.
Yes, I'd like to see that too.
It'd be interesting to see someone try to go the opposite way.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, you were talking about someone who kind of delves into that middle ground world, that on the fringe of being cute and on the fringe of being maybe crossing it over to hardcore. And someone who I can think of that kind of does that pretty well is Brant Peters. And actually this week, Brant Peters released a 3D turnaround of a couple of characters. Again, with 3D sculptors, I don't know if this is just him showing an example of some work he's doing or if this is geared to be a toy release in the future. But he wrote something about this would be a secret if I could keep it a secret. But anyways, it was a girl, kind of Medusa style, snakes coming out of her hair. She's wearing a cape and has like a 3-headed Cerberus type dog, all very Brant Peters style. But these were really cool pieces. This is something I'm looking forward to seeing fleshing out further. The only thing that I saw that I want to see on the next pass is right now she wouldn't stand on her own without a base. And if these are going to be toys, I'm hoping that Brant's going to engineer it to where that girl can stand on her own without a base. Because those snakes on the back of her head, the cape flying out, that's all going to make her top heavy and she's not going to be able to stand. So hopefully that's all kind of figured out possible.
Right. Well, and what's interesting, so he posted a turnaround video on his account and there is like a big circular base underneath them right now. And so I don't know if that's just there for the sake of being there or if it's intended that it's going to be part of the piece. But I'm with you. I mean, I think if you can make it self-standing, that would be the preference. But it's cool, like the little snakes coming out and
yeah. Great proportions. I've always liked Brant stuff. He does wonderful work, and it's been a while since we've seen a toy release from Brant, and maybe a few years. I can really only think of the Harley Quinn, which from Kid Robot was the last one I can think of. But, you know, he's art director over at Meow Wolf now, so he's probably throwing himself into that position. And if you haven't seen the Meow Wolf documentary, be sure to check that out. It's really cool. Speaking
of seeing Brant, I haven't looked at his pictures recently. Have you seen his beard? It's getting amazing.
No, I haven't.
Holy cow, man. Looks good. I don't think I'd even recognize him. It's total rockabilly, like, grayed out, like, big-ass beard. It's cool.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm not a beard guy. I can't appreciate it on the same level that you do.
You just can't grow one, that's why.
Never tried.
Challenge you to grow a beard from now till Designer Con.
Oh man, I don't know. I decline that challenge. I don't think I could pull it off. I don't think I had the testosterone to grow a great beard. It'd be ugly. Anyways, let's move on. Those are my 2 Lisa sneak peeks. Let's move on to something else.
Okay. We're going to do one more.
Oh, my God.
Why not? Okay, because there's this really killer piece. We're talking
an
about
hour and 20 minutes in. We had all these other topics.
Do we have a time limit all of a sudden?
Yes. 30 minutes of that was like dog talk and whatever.
All right, hot shots. You guys edit this episode.
Oh, no, that's still your job.
So shut the fuck up.
All right, I guess we're done, everybody. Let's wrap it up. Save it for next week, Teresa.
But seriously, we had a guest this week, and we canceled on him because we had all these toy talk topics that we were building up. We were like, well, let's start doing every other week. So we canceled on him, and now we spent our entire time just doing leaks and sneak peeks. We haven't done any toy talk at all. So, Teresa, what do you want to do? You want to do another leak, or do you want to move on to topics?
You told me to shut the F up, so that's what
I was telling George to shut the fuck up. I would never say that to you. Teresa, I would say something like...
Can you kindly shut the fuck up?
Actually, the one thing I've learned in life is to never tell a woman to shut up or be quiet or any phrase of such.
And I'm hanging up. Bye.
No, you're not.
Okay, fine. We'll jump into topics.
Okay.
Ready, set, go. Okay. Let's talk about the Toy Chronicle redesign that launched.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw, George. Toy Chronicle. Not only did they redesign their site recently, so it's a shiny new website, but part of it is they've launched a forum. So we've been talking about the Kid Robot forums lately. I think we even joked in a recent episode. We were like, we should start a Marsham forum, and lo and behold, Toy Chronicle made one. So what do y'all think? You think people are going to use it and start jumping in, and maybe the days of Kid Robot forums will come back?
It's too soon, but I think with the Toy Chronicle being behind it and the things that I've heard that they're wanting to do with it, I do see them bringing the forum format back. I do. Yep.
Well, and so when they first launched and stuff, I didn't fully kind of understand, I guess, all that they had baked into the new site. But I've been dabbling a bit. So you can create an account now through Toy Chronicle, and that account allows you to post to the forum, and you can even comment on posts and like posts or whatever. But they've got like a point system thing, created this sort of leaderboard, and I guess they're going to do different things and maybe contests and stuff wrapped around your rank, which is kind of fun, right? But the thing I realized earlier tonight, so I was going in there and playing with my profile, and it's almost like a Facebook page kind of within Toy Chronicle. You can upload like a profile photo and a cover photo and a description and all this kind of stuff. But guess what else you can freaking do? You can make your own posts.
A content post for the actual website.
Yes, you can make your own freaking blog post. How cool is that?
It's pretty awesome. It still has to be vetted though. You just can't post anything and then poof, it goes up. Like, it has to be of decent quality, of decent research, probably fact checked by the Toy Chronicle. But if you've always wanted to write something for a toy blog, anybody and everybody can do it now.
Isn't that cool? I looked at my screen and I saw this create button. I went, hold the phone. What is this? And then I realized you can submit stuff. So they have a bunch of options in there. You can do polls, you can post a video, you can post audio, you can do like a blog style, a list. I'm like, this is snazzy.
Those guys, they know what they're doing. Hey,
there's a Marsham section.
There is a Marsham section.
Yeah, they created the lovely Gary and Andy created a section for us. So in the forum, there's a whole section. So yeah, if you haven't been liking the different millions of ways we offer to listen, there's now one more. You can go over and look at the forum and play it from there and chat about it. Anyway, I think that the changes they made are cool. I like that they're trying to bring back a forum. I think you're right. People. There's not a whole lot of accounts yet, a whole lot of activity, but get out there, use it. Let's make it a thing.
I think it's a great thing. I could totally see it being the place to go for. It's been up for a few weeks now, so it's off to a slow start. But I think maybe people are just waiting for it to fill in. I'm sure a lot of people are checking in. They just don't want to be the ones to create posts and comment just yet. So I think in a few weeks or a few months, you might see some good activity there.
Yeah, and I think they've slowly been sort of launching it out there to kind of play with it. So maybe they're not trying to, play it up too much. But if I'm out there, you can find me and you can friend people. And I even use the cute little Marsham squee as my icon.
See, I'm not friending you. I'm not going to use this thing like Facebook where I'm going in there and I'm adding friends. I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to lurk and maybe make the occasional comment. But I'm not going to use it as Facebook and a little clicky thing.
Well, you're not going to climb the leaderboard then. You're not going to be earning them points.
That's fine. I'll get by.
Well, what do you think, George? What do you think about the idea of a forum?
I think my forum days are long past me. I moderated a forum for 10 years, and it's a lot of work. It was fun. I had a great time doing it, but that was back when I was only working for October Toys, and I didn't have a day job. I couldn't do a forum at this point.
Well, kudos to Andy and Gary and Pedro and the rest of the TTC team for taking it on.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
I'm sure it is, because especially if they're having to prove everything as this thing grows. Whew. And these people all have day jobs. I think that's the one. So many times in this scene, like someone posted in the forum, they were like, "I'm new. Like, I kind of want to do this. I want to do art. Like, do people do this full time?" And I kind of wanted to be like, I don't want to burst your bubble, but the majority of people in the scene, this is not their job.
Even though everyone acts like it is.
Yeah.
I've got something I can mention.
Okay, George.
All right, you go ahead.
Anyone that knows the minifigure stuff that I put out, the OMFG series, the minifigure militia has just finished off with series 2. Even they did them out of order. They chose their own order to release in, and they've been doing the Oozarian color, which is a translucent slime green. And they started with 3, then to 4, then to 1, and now they've gone to 2, series 2. So they've completed the set. So if you want to get your Series 2 OMFG in Oozarian color, head over to the Minifigure Militia and buy your stuff.
I feel like we just entered back in the leaks and sneak peeks / a little bit of sponsors.
Hey, I wasn't allowed to talk about that in leaks and sneak peeks. You guys.
It was like a little.
Have we ever talked about this Minifigure Militia?
I don't know.
Yeah, we have at one point, because I'm in it on Facebook. I'm like a creepy lurker because you told me to join the group for some contest thing, and I never did it. And then I realized, okay, I entered it thinking, oh, I collect minifigures, but then we've learned, and you have told us that what we say is minifigures is not really minifigures, and that entire group, it's like teeny weenies.
Well, yeah, you call everything a minifigure, even though it's just small figures.
But they truly collect like Keshi, OMFG, but they're also kind of into like what do you call them? The little gumball-y type of machines, but for toys.
Oh hell yeah! All the gumball machine toys, yeah.
Yeah, like that's my interpretation of the minifigure militia. But anyway.
All right, there you go. Next topic.
Here, real quick, while we're in plug mode, go check out our flippin' fantastic sponsors: My Plastic Heart, Strange Cat, 3D Retro, Toy Chronicle, Spanky Stokes. You, if you listen to us, already know all the codes and websites and schnaz, so just go.
Wow. I wasted all my time spending like 5 minutes doing sponsors, and you just wrapped it up in 15 seconds. Good job.
You're welcome. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about US Sofubi? You want to talk about Funko designer toy crossover? You want to talk about...
Wait, I want to talk about that. You guys mentioned loving to see if Jesse did a Funko Pop. Does that mean something's happening? Did you make it a reality?
Oh, no. Okay, so here... Okay, Gary, are you going to have to plead the fifth here? Can we even do this segment?
So you're asking me to talk on something that you know I can't talk on.
So here's what's hard, George.
Right,
so
here's the thing. Can we speculate on stuff and you just be quiet?
Exactly. Can we be the chatters and you just be a neutral third party for a minute, and we do a disclaimer? Hey, Gary works for Funko. He can't say anything. He likes his job, but George and I want to talk about it. And our views are our views and our views only. That's all. Keep Gary's good.
Oh, if only it was that simple. It's not. I'll still be an accomplice to whatever is said. As long as we don't leak anything or whatnot, I think it should be okay. But let's just, you talk about it, and I will let you know if we're in uncomfortable territory.
Okay. So here's the thing. No, there's nothing. I mean, it's not about Jesse Hernandez and all that, but there has been oddly a lot of weird bleeding of the world news going on, George. And I don't know how much you've seen of it, but
none.
There's been a couple different things. The first thing that came out was Funko's doing this new thing called it's like a new brand or series called Paka or Paka. And they're basically going to be creating their own gashapon machines through GameStop. The first one that they released was actually Soda Cats, And I won't lie, when I first saw it, I had a knee-jerk reaction because it's dead up the Soda Cats that Black Seed has done. I don't know if you've seen those.
I don't even know what soda cats are.
Oh gosh, it's just picture the shape of a bottle, but it's got feet and paws and a cat head, and the little cat head has like a little cap on it with a straw going through it. It's a blending of a soda and a cat.
Okay.
Anyway, it's this series that Black Seed has been putting out, and apparently they've collaborated with them, and they're going to be creating a Gashapon series using the same soda cat, and they're doing some other ones as well. They've released this one called Kawaii Village Japan.
I know soda cat. I looked it up.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that one. There was this Paka release, and when we started seeing it, it was intriguing because the thought was, like, what does this mean? Does that mean that Funko is starting to delve into the world of designer toys because soda cats is something that's in our scene? Anyway, so there was this Paka news, and then there was some teasers that started coming out. One was for New York Comic Con, and they created a Ron English Freddy Funko. So it's like the vintage Freddy Funko figure, but with like the signature Ron English grin.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Ron English and Black Seed are both behind the scenes connected to the same company. So I don't think more than likely that's the reason why there's these multiple releases. But then along with that, the DesignerCon Instagram page teased a DesignerCon exclusive pop, a Mark Hamill pop, and there was also in someone's Instagram story a DesignerCon exclusive teaser for some kind of Ghostbusters pop.
Okay.
And so it's this really intriguing kind of blending of the worlds. I don't know. I think the question is, like, what does this mean? You know, what does it mean for our scene? Do we feel like Funko's trying to get into designer toys? Do we think that this means that Funko's going to have a big presence at DesignerCon again this year since there's going to be DesignerCon exclusive pops? Are they expanding beyond the whole cereal thing?
Well, some of that we can get answers to when we get Ben on to talk about DesignerCon this year.
True.
So we'll have to wait for that to get that answer. I think that them doing that Soda Cat thing is pretty cool, actually. I like that character a lot. And, like, I have no idea how to get that figure. So being able to go to GameStop and get a blind box series of it in a gacha machine, and I love the gacha machines that Japan has. So if Funko can somehow make that gacha machine popular like it is in Japan, I'm all for it. I think that's great. Like, if it has to be them to start it and then people will follow suit because they're doing it, I'm all for getting the gacha machines everywhere. That's cool. As far as bringing in the Ron English thing, like, I don't know. There's nothing Ron English hasn't put in a grin on. So it was only a matter of time. Like, I mean, that grin, I don't think it's hard to get Ron English to put a grin on something. I think you just have to ask him.
I agree in both camps. I mean, we've talked a lot about gashapons and wanting them to be more popular here. So if they can make it happen, by all means, I'm for it. And I agree that the soda cats are super cute. They're actually a slightly different spin. They're named after actual sodas. So like Dr. Purr instead of Dr. Pepper, Mountain Mew instead of Mountain Dew. So they've got some cute names compared to the Black Seed versions. And I'm also hoping, since they are a lower price point, I'm picturing that they'll be smaller as well. So like even teenier, which should be pretty cute. But yeah, I think the only thing just on like the chatter around the whole DesignerCon exclusive pops, you know, back when we talked to Ben last year, there was a lot of discussion around Funko coming to DesignerCon and what that would mean. And, you know, Ben talked a lot about, look, like, I don't want it to be a pop thing. So it's a little weird to see the idea of a DesignerCon exclusive pop. I don't know. The whole Funko coming to DCon, not coming to DCon, whatever. It's whatever. I don't have any problem. It wasn't an
Let me
issue
stop you right
last
there.
year.
Let me say, I can say one thing. And honestly, great job. You guys, your conversation, I'm not going to have to cut anything out, so that's awesome. But the one thing I can say for a fact is Funko is not going to be exhibiting at DesignerCon this year. I can say that for absolute certainty.
Well, it's so intriguing you say that because It's very interesting because the sense you get is that they are going to be there based on all this stuff they're putting out. So I'm curious to see now who's going to have these exclusives. Maybe through the show?
I can't say anything, but it's definitely not a Funko booth. You'll just have to wait and see.
Interesting. Because yeah, I mean, I think the big question for Decon has always been, after last year and all the changes, you start to worry about what Decon's going to become, right? People in our scene would hate to see Decon become another SDCC or NYCC. So the fact that Funko's not coming is intriguing to me, because I figured after last year they would definitely be back. Huh.
Right, let's get off Funko so that Gary can come back into the conversation.
Okay. So the last thing is there was a intriguing article by Toy Chronicle about this new company called Mile High Sofubi, and they are attempting to do Japanese sofubi in the U.S. And so if you read the article and look at their website, there's not a whole lot out there, but what they're trying to do, it's not just like, hey, we want to do soft vinyl here in the U.S. And there's the whole China versus Japan, whatever thing. But what they're trying to do is basically use the same process as Japanese sofubi here in the U.S. So everything that we talked about with Science Patrols way back when, I don't know, there was a lot of chatter. What do you all think about the idea of a U.S.-based Japanese sofubi company?
I mean, they're not the first to try it. Andrew Bell has already had a figure that was pulled here in the U.S. There's other companies that have tried to set up and do that as well. There's a lot of regulations in the U.S. There's reasons it's not done here anymore. There's a lot of OSHA things, and I don't know. There's just too many hurdles to jump. It's definitely possible if someone if they had the money and wanted to set it all up. It's not a process that's difficult. It was original. I mean, there used to be many factories here in the U.S. that did it. Like in the 60s, there was, Mattel had, Barbies pulled in the U.S. It's been done here. It's not like it's never been here. It's just a matter of someone doing it and setting it up and spending the money to build the tanks and the oil baths and all the stuff. It's not a hard process. Just someone has to do it.
Now, when you say people have done it before, because there is this whole, all sofubi is soft vinyl, but not all soft vinyl is sofubi. This whole debate that there's a China-made process versus a Japan-made process. I know a lot of people were getting in a tizzy over it, and all high and mighty, like, Japan or bust, blah, 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 blah. Like, I was struggling to understand why people were so quick to dismiss it. So I'm trying to understand, when we talk about all these people who used to do it here, were they using just some kind of soft vinyl process, or were they actually doing the authentic way that makers in Japan are doing today?
It's not a Japanese invented technique. It's literally just rotocast vinyl. The thing that everyone likes is the company that the people in Japan are getting their vinyl from has a very specific vinyl. That's the Japanese vinyl that they're talking about. If someone could get that vinyl here in the U.S., you'd be able to do the exact same thing that they're doing. And that's why when those companies like MindStyle, who are saying they're making sofubi in China, and it says like made in China with Japanese vinyl, they're importing the vinyl from Japan, bringing it to China, and just doing the process there. The difference in the Chinese vinyl and the Japanese vinyl, that's it. That's the thing that's the difference. The techniques are all the same. There's nothing special about it. It's literally just spinning a mold. There's nothing special about the technique. It's all comes down to the quality of the vinyl. The vinyl that has been here in the U.S. is a very beach ball smelling vinyl. So I don't know if either of you guys got the Andrew Bell, the little guy that he made. It smells like a beach ball.
Huh.
It's a very different vinyl, but that's the vinyl that's available in the U.S. So if someone wants to do it and they can somehow import that vinyl from Japan and then use that here, it would be the exact same as the stuff made in Japan. It doesn't matter where it's made. Everyone's using the same process. This process is ancient as far as like technology. There's nothing crazy or special or inventive. Like toys used to be made this way here. Japanese dudes brought it back to Japan from the U.S. where they were making it here, and then started it over there, and they have all the factories now, and all of our factories closed. No one makes it like that anymore. People used to make model kits out of soft vinyl. Like, that was just the way they, like, there was a ton of that being made here. It was even like independent people making soft vinyl model kits in like the 60s here in the U.S. And everybody just stopped making. I think there's probably just too many laws with OSHA and chemicals, and just as all that stuff gets stricter and stricter, especially here in California, that stuff just disappears. That's why no one works. That's why there's no factories left in the U.S. We've standardized everything so far that you can't do anything here.
The company that you guys are talking about in 2011, it was called Veracious Vinyl, and the Andrew Bell figure was produced through Andrew Bell and My Plastic Heart Labs and PH Labs. It was called Death Dealer. They did several colorways. And really, that company, Veracious Vinyl, only did a few things before that completely fizzled out. I remember one designer con, we all went to a Sketchbot custom show on Melrose. And I think, George, you were actually there. We went to like a Chinese food for dinner after the event, and Buff Monster walks in, and he has this clear Buff Monster toy, and he's talking about how this is being done in the United States by some LA producer. And that was the first time I ever learned about Veracious Vinyl, and then people all got all excited about it, but it came and went.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the dude. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of work. Nobody ever wants to do nobody wants to put in the amount of work that it takes to do this stuff, except a dedicated Japanese dude who's like into it. You know, like that guy's been doing it for so many years. Millennials don't have the work ethic to do this stuff.
I take offense to that, but moving on. I mean, I didn't realize, I didn't know about this Veracious Vinyl thing. I mean, I've seen that Andrew Bell figure. I didn't realize it was made here, but I don't know. I mean, I get everything you're saying, and I get that there's a specific process, there's a history, there's an authenticity thing, there's a material thing, whatever. I guess when I saw it, though, I don't know. I just feel like so many people are so, and maybe I'm pie in the sky, but I was just like, cool. That's awesome that someone wants to try and take this on and try to make it work. I hope that they can.
I hope that they can. There's so many people that have said they want to do it over the years that no one ever does it. It would be great. I would think that there's a ton of people that would use them for product if someone could do it. If someone would step up and do it, there's a line of people they would have wanting to work with them out the door.
I agree. So I don't know. It just was really interesting in the thread, because when I posted it with like, oh my gosh, how cool. Like, look guys, this is awesome. And then everyone was just like, wham, wham,
because this is the first time you're hearing someone try it. We've heard it for the past 20 years of people saying they're going to do it, and then it doesn't happen. So it's like, oh, hey, here's another guy who thinks he's going to do it.
Yeah, and it was a combination of that and people being like, you can't replicate Japan and Japan, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I've never been all about my material must be.
I know what you're talking about. And yes, you and I are the same way. You and I, we do not need our material out of a specific location. We just like toys. And I equated this in one of our threads. We were talking about this, and someone was saying that they only want their toys to come out of Japan. And me being snarky and kind of poking fun and being sarcastic, I said, well, I only like pizza out of Italy, specifically Naples. Because that's kind of how it reads when people say that they only want their toys coming out of Japan. I'll eat pizza anywhere. As long as it's a somewhat decent pizza, I'll eat a DiGiorno's, and then I'll spend $30-$40 on a really, really good pizza. So it really depends on things. But as far as toys go, Teresa, you and I just are different. Some people, just a personal preference. You and I don't care where the toy's made so long as it looks cool on our shelves. And other people like to know a little more of the backstory of where their toy came from. So they're a little more loyal to regions and whatnot. They like knowing that their toy was made at the same factory as that made their Bandai toys when they were kids. Or maybe it was sculpted by the same person who did a certain Godzilla toy or something like that. The smells, the streets, the people. So they have a connection to the toy on a different level than you and I do.
But, okay, let me make it a different analogy. Because I understand the people who say that China made soft vinyl and Japan made soft vinyl are different. I get that. That is not a debate. Where I come in is, let's take your pizza analogy, right? We'll eat pizza wherever, right? I'll go to freaking Blaze Pizza, which is a chain, and eat it, and I don't care. But let's say that you know a friend, and they learned about the authentic historical way to make a specific pizza that has been passed down through Italy for years and years and years, right? There's a very specific recipe and a way to do it. And they say, yes, I want to be authentic. I want to make a pizza like they made in the 1800s in Italy. And they sit and they learn and they do research. And then they come here and they sit in their home in the US and they make that authentic pizza, right? What I don't get is why people look at that authentic pizza and say, that's not the same as making that pizza over in Italy. But it is. They followed the process. They followed the history. They did the research. And to me, that's what Mile High Sofubi is trying to do here. They're trying to follow all the things that they're doing in Japan here and make it authentic.
Yeah, but there's a difference between following the thing and making it authentic, which it still would be. I understand what you're saying. But Gary is saying the actual dude that pulled your toy out of the mold is the guy that pulled that toy 40 years ago out of the mold you bought when you were a kid. Like the same dude, like Steve. Steve pulled that toy 30 years ago and painted it, and then Steve pulled your toy out of the mold right now.
I gotcha.
Like that's authentic.
Okay, it's the person, and I get that now that you're saying it that way. I guess I just don't. If someone is trying to honor Steve and do what Steve does here, to me, that is trying to be authentic in the best way you can. Versus just creating a factory that does whatever or using whatever process.
I agree.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Wrap it up.
All right, why don't each of you take a brief moment and let the listeners know where they can find you. Teresa, go first.
Sure. Check me out on Instagram, TMHawk24, and you can find me in the TTC forums. What?
As what? Teresa Hawkins or TMHawk24?
Well, that's weird. So we had to create a username, so I created one, TMHawk24, but I show as Teresa Hawkins in the post.
Okay.
So,
George, where can people find you on the Toy Chronicle forums?
You cannot at this moment. Okay. Maybe one day, but right now you can find me on Instagram at Double G Toys. And don't forget to buy OMFG Series 2 Uzarian Green at the Minifigure Militia.
I'm Gary Ham. You can find me at superham.com or Gary Ham on Instagram. Or, I don't know what my handle on the Toy Chronicle Forum is, but let's assume it's Gary Ham.
Oh my
God!
This has been
disgusting!
This has been the Marsham Toy Hour. We do this every week, not because we have to,
but because Gary burps.
So
I don't want to anymore.
Until our next transmission, we're signing off. Bye. Whew, that was
terrible.
That was an interesting one.
And that burp was disgusting.
Yeah, it got a little lodged in my throat before it wanted to come out.
If you do not edit that out, you will literally have people retching in their mouth. That was
You should just edit in the elf burp instead.
That's probably the best part about the whole episode. 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. I give up on trying and prepping and whatever.
It was
a good episode. Stop it.
It was good.
Y'all, I'm throwing up deuces. This has been fun. I'm firing myself yet again.
No.
Teresa, it was a good episode.
Stuart, this is like the 15th time she tried to fire herself.
That's
Without
true.
Teresa, we don't exist. So Teresa, you're not going anywhere.
You're unfired, Teresa. Sorry.
See you next week.
All right.
All right. Have a good night, guys. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.